Basic dog knowledge. Dog DNA. Dogs. Aren't they wonderful? The modern domestic dog is a descendant of the wolf. Wolves once roamed the earth in large numbers, but with the rise of the human species, they're in real danger of being extinct. However, their adaptive counterparts, the domestic dogs, have no fear of extinction because they have secured their place as man's best friend. Dogs will always be protected because of the deep bond with humans that has adapted over time. The human-dog relationship is remarkable. There's a certain amount of adaptation that both humans and dogs have had to make in order to live in harmony, and that bond is incredible. If you really think about it, isn't it simply amazing that we can coexist and truly connect one another as separate species on such a deep level?
The dog was the first animal to be domesticated, somewhere between 15 and 13,000 years ago. What is unique about the dog is that its ancestors are basically wolves. So our ancestors and dogs' ancestors were at some point maybe enemies.
Wolves are social creatures. They recognize dominance and sociality, so they're already, in a sense, pre-adapted to living with humans. The course of domestication of the dog was probably not a single moment. It was probably a long, long period of experimentation.
The first initial contact was probably made by wolves who were looking to exploit a new food source, who were able to, stand being near people long enough to eat what was being thrown in the scrap heap behind the cave. And in a couple of generations, you've got an animal that is starting to domesticate. And I think what's fascinating about that is the conceptual shift for those early men into how useful that could be. I mean, of course, a domesticated dog is a tremendously useful tool in a survival situation in the wild.
They can watch the mouth of the dwelling for predators. And when humans and dogs begin to hunt together, their capabilities are greatly expanded. The wolf was a much better hunter than we are. So now all of a sudden we have that amazing sense of smell, the ability to track game.
He can hunt at night. He can hunt by sound. He can hunt by smell. He can hear the reindeer over the horizon hours before you'll even become aware of their presence. It's an unbeatable combination. There's humans and dogs together. Nothing can stop them. We have a long relationship with the wolf and the dog, and it's often said the dog is man's best friend, but you can turn that around. Dogs will never become extinct. Wolves, on the other hand, are endangered species pretty much everywhere they live. So becoming man's best friend was a good thing for the wolves. No one's ever given up on the domesticated dog.
Dog communication. Let's take a look at stress signals. Stress signals are ways that dogs tell other dogs, or humans, that they're feeling uneasy through their body language and facial expressions. Stress signals can also be called calming signals because they're often used by dogs to diffuse stressful situations. Stress does not always mean distress, and such signals may be used by dogs when they're learning a new and challenging situation. Now, if a dog shuts down, it may be a warning sign. Turning away. When a dog turns away from a situation, they are attempting to show that they are not interested in confrontation or even play. Watch for another dog that is continuously pursuing the dog that is turning away, thereby ignoring the dog's signals to back off. Intervene when this happens and correct the instigating dog. Freezing. Heads up on this one. Dogs usually freeze right before they're about to snap or bite. You have very little time to intervene when this happens. Always be cautious when a dog becomes still in any situation. This is often combined with ears down or a ridge of hair on the dog's back. Get this dog out of the stressful situation immediately because a full-blown dogfight is very probable. Moving very slowly. When activities are getting too chaotic, a stressed dog may move slowly in order to show the other dogs that it'd like to see everyone calm down and move more slowly too. A slow-moving dog in a stressful situation may need a break. This is one of the tougher stress signals to catch, but dogs tend to show other signs of anxiety along with it. Lip licking. Lip licking is a clear sign that a dog is anxious. You will see the dog stick his tongue out and lick his lips. This is usually a fast flash lick. This is a common signal to look out for in daycare. Keep a close eye on a dog that is lip licking and any other dog who doesn't understand the signal to back off. This situation is cause for separation. Whites of eyes showing. When a dog is calm and relaxed, you typically don't see much of the white of the eyes. However, when the dog is stressed, you might see an arc of white that gives your dog's eyes a half-moon shape. This often happens when a dog is stressed and is holding it in. Keep an eye on such a dog, as it may need quiet time. Yawning. Yawning in dogs means something different than what it means in humans, and therefore it is often misinterpreted by humans. Yawning typically does not mean the dog is tired or content. Rather, when a dog is yawning, it's often a sign that it's stressed or in over its head. Encouragement is a good next step. Let's talk about facial expressions of dogs and talk about a few examples. Facial expressions in dogs have a wide range of meanings. Reading such expressions is important so that you can intervene when a situation is starting to look problematic. Dog communication, once learned and understood by a human, is actually pretty easy to recognize. There's calm, alert, friendly, timid, angry, timid, unsure, angry and confident, and just plain scared. About body language. While facial expressions are important, the language of dogs shows in their body language as well. The way dogs move and position their bodies can tell us what they're thinking, feeling, or what they're about to do. Knowing the meaning of dog body language can help you stop bad behavior before it starts, thereby preventing canine brawls. We have emotions like, I don't like this, and I'm confident, and I'm paying attention, and also I'm submissive and harmless. A few signs of aggression in dogs. Some dogs play rough, so use your best judgment to stop such behavior, even if it's just a sibling rivalry. Other dogs in daycare can misread this, and a fight may happen. So watch out for signs like stiff legs and body, lowered head, ears pinned back close to the head. A friendly, relaxed stare turns direct and eyes narrow. Lips drawn back in a snarl. A ridgeback of hair appears. Intense stares. So how to calm dogs in stressful situations? The first thing you can do to calm a dog when they're stressed is to just remove it from the situation completely. Recognize that the situation is out of hand and get the dog away before it escalates. When removing a dog from a situation, it is important that you do not do so in a rash way. Just stay calm and direct. However, think about why the dog was in the stressful situation to begin with. Why was the situation stressful, and how can you prevent a similar situation from arising again? In addition, how can you take steps to get the situation under control as quickly as possible, even before an incident happens? Dogs often do a body shake to relieve tension or stress on their own. Body shakes are basically a dog saying, "Phew, I'm glad that's over with." One cool trick that you can use to help a dog relax is to use your hand, stroking a dog's hair of the withers backwards to provoke a body shake. It's like a reset button for a dog. Let's talk about different breeds of dogs. As a dog handler, you're sure to see many breeds in daycare. You will need to have a good grasp of what the common breeds look like, and with time, you will learn lots of them by seeing breeds again and again. When a dog is called for to go home or eat, and you do not know the dog by name, you should be able to identify the dog by a description that will be provided to you from whomever is calling for the dog. A description will often be of a specific breed, a mixture of breeds, a color or mixture of colors, size, or other unique features of the dog. Having a good base knowledge of what breeds look like can help you become a stronger handler a lot faster. Here's a list of different breeds and try to associate them in your head with what they look like. Irish Setter, Giant Schnauzer, Mastiff, Basset Hound, Doberman, Golden Retriever, German Shepherd, Great Dane, Bull Terrier, Labrador, Bernese Mountain Dog, Rottweiler, Dachshund, Siberian Husky, Chihuahua, Jack Russell Terrier, Beagle, French Bulldog, American Staffordshire Terrier, Boxer. Industry descriptors. Here are some different descriptive ways you may hear dogs described that are more industry terms, such as Pinto. They're mostly white with large patches of black and brown. Brindle. They're solid colored with densely dispersed dark stripes on their coat. Blue. Very dark charcoal gray that is almost black. Fawn. A solid tan, often with a black mask. Dapple. Densely spotted, often seen in dachshunds. Merle. Densely spotted patches, often with white areas. Blue merle and red merle are common identifiers. Generic dog types. Sometimes dogs may be referred to as a type of dog or breed group. You will often hear terms like shepherd mix or bully breed, hound dog, terrier mix, or Spitz type dog. There are other terms you will hear and pick up on along the way as well. Some of the main groups are shepherds, bullies, hounds, terriers, and Spitz. Understanding the effect of breeding. Now that you have learned some of the common industry terms referring to dog types and markings, now you will learn some of the many types of specific pure breed dogs. Most of these dogs will appear often in daycare, even to the point where several dogs may be hard to tell apart due to their breeding. I mean, just try telling the difference between 4 or 5 black labs. Most of the dogs you will be introduced to in your training are very common and popular breeds, while others are thrown in to illustrate the vast number of lesser-known breeds that are out there. We've also introduced a few more rare breeds that are particularly iffy or even dangerous breeds by nature. Unfortunately, several breeds must be considered watchdogs simply because of the tendencies of that breed or the sheer power it has to do major damage. Identifying breed tendencies is for the safety of the dogs in your care. However, it's best to remember that not all dogs in these dangerous breeds are problematic, and not all friendly breeds have 100% nice dogs either. All dogs are capable of doing harm, no matter what their owners believe or how clean their history is. Dog breeds with a caution icon are to be watched closely, especially during evaluations, due to their breed's aggressive, iffy, or prey-driven tendencies. The uniqueness of dog breeds is truly fascinating, and a lot can be learned from understanding the genetic histories of the different dog breeds. Much of their history can even explain many of the innate reasons why they act the way they do. Here's a breed photo guide. English Springer Spaniel, English Bulldog, Weimaraner, French Bulldog, Golden Retriever, German Short-Haired Pointer, Pit Bull Terrier, warning sign here, Yorkshire Terrier, Scottish Terrier, Standard Schnauzer, Great Dane, Maltese, Collie, Shetland Sheepdog or Sheltie, Border Collie, Australian Shepherd, also known as Aussie, Old English Sheepdog, Australian Terrier, Standard Poodle, Rottweiler, warning sign here, Jack Russell Terrier, English Setter, Doberman, warning sign here, Akita, warning sign here, Husky, Vizsla, Pug, West Highland White Terrier, Chinese Crested, Bloodhound, Bernese Mountain Dog, Airedale Terrier, Beagle, Boston Terrier, Basset Hound, Chow Chow, warning sign here, Chihuahua, Cocker Spaniel, Basenji, Bearded Collie, Bichon Frise, Irish Setter, English Mastiff, warning sign here, Keeshond, Neapolitan Mastiff, warning sign here, Corgi, Shar-Pei, Dalmatian, Giant Schnauzer, Dachshund, Portuguese Water Dog, Irish Red and White Setter, Newfoundland, Swiss Mountain Dog, warning sign, Havanese, American Bulldog, warning sign, German Shepherd, warning sign, Cane Corso, warning sign, Saint Bernard, care and dog health. Remember, we're not veterinarians. As dog care employees, we are not veterinarians and are not trained to give medical advice, so we shouldn't. It's important that when we talk to customers about anything we notice about their dogs, that we also remind them that we are not veterinarians. Rather, refer the customer to their veterinarian for further care. Owners in desperation often ask us to watch over their sick or injured dogs while they are away, but this is not always feasible in a cage-free environment. It is very important that before we agree to any special care, that a manager fully assesses the entire situation. Make sure you do not promise special treatment without approval from a manager. We also cannot administer medication outside of our meal routine for the fear of missing a dose. If an owner has a complicated situation, it's best that they seek veterinary boarding, but you can defer tricky questions to a manager. Any medication requiring needles should be administered by the supervisor in charge. Signs that a dog may be ill. As handlers, you spend the most amount of time interacting with the daycare dogs, so it is important that you are able to identify when a dog is not well. Some of the notable signs that a dog is not well are as follows: bad breath or drooling, excessive drinking or urinating, appetite change associated with weight loss or gain, change in activity levels, lack of interest in doing things they once did, stiffness or difficulty in getting up or climbing stairs, sleeping more than normal, coughing, sneezing, excessive panting, or labored breathing, dry or itchy skin, sores, lumps, or shaking of the head, frequent digestive upset or change in bowel movements, dry, red, or cloudy eyes, any kind of twitching of the head or eyes, unusual aggression or quick to get irritated, blood in the stool, vomit, or pee, goop in the eyes, nose, ears, smelly ears, unusual movements. Always keep an eye out for some of these signs to identify that a dog is ill, so that we can hopefully take care of the dog's well-being before any illness has a chance to escalate. It's also worth noting that if a dog is on medication, certain side effects may occur. If you notice a dog displaying any of the above symptoms, let a supervisor know and he or she can bring the dog up front for observation and pass the information on to the owner so he or she can make further decisions to ensure the health of the dog. If you're not quite sure if what you observe is a sign of illness, say something anyway. A manager can walk you through some further questions, observe the dog individually, and casually mention what you have noticed to its owner. What is the protocol for dealing with seizures? Handling seizures in dogs is scary the first time, and they really don't get much less scary once you've seen multiple episodes. Knowing how to identify and handle a seizure in daycare is important. How to identify a dog having a seizure. During an episode, the dog will have some or all of the following symptoms, depending on the intensity of the seizure: jerking, shaking, staggering, drooling, stiffening, collapsing, chomping, loss of consciousness, foaming of the mouth, pooping or peeing during episode, rapid eye movements. How to handle when a dog has a seizure. Handling seizures properly is very important because during this scary time, your safety and the safety of the dog having the episode is at a higher risk. Follow this protocol if you should be in a situation in which a seizure occurs. First off, remain calm. It's important that you do not panic in these situations. Panic will only cause chaos. Call for help right away and focus on keeping other dogs away from the dog that is seizing. Your instinct will be to comfort the dog. Do not do this. Do not touch the dog or put your hands anywhere near its head for your own safety. Let the seizure take its course. Nothing you can do will speed up the episode. It must run its course. Do not try to move the dog, unless there are dangerous reactions from other dogs in the pack. Try to keep track of how long the seizure lasted if you can. Certain seizures of unusually long length may require immediate emergency care. Once the dog regains consciousness, make sure you do not touch it. Try to see how the dog reacts to you and try to get it to follow you. The dog could be scared, confused, and can mean danger for you. Once the dog is responding, get it into a safe solitary area and let the person in charge get the dog to a quiet location. The dog will likely be exhausted. The manager will then contact the owner. Common causes of epileptic seizures. You may be asking yourself, what causes these dramatic and uncontrollable episodes in dogs? Some of the common causes of epileptic seizures are high or low blood sugar, genetics, liver or kidney disease, electrolyte problem, poison, brain cancer, head injury, anemia, strokes. Zoonosis. Zoonosis are illnesses transmitted by animals to humans. When working with animals, there is this slight risk. Make sure that you do not come to work ill or with a weakened immune system. Wash your hands regularly and don't let dogs lick your mouth or open wounds. Pet First Aid. Let's talk about American Red Cross First Aid. As part of your training, you will be trained in Pet First Aid by the American Red Cross. The videos clearly illustrate how to handle injuries, illnesses, and medical emergencies. You will watch the video by the American Cross on Pet First Aid during your initial handler training. And once you move into more advanced roles, your training will be certified in First Aid by the American Red Cross to handle these emergencies. It's important that you understand how to identify and react when a dog is injured or ill. The Red Cross does a pretty good job outlining a process for dealing with such emergency situations.
CPR. What is CPR? Can anybody tell me what CPR stands for? C stands for cardio, P, pulmonary, R, resuscitation. I feel like I'm doing a cheer. Okay, you do not want to attempt CPR on a conscious animal. Should I be looking into the camera or look around at everybody? Okay, you don't want to attempt it on a conscious animal. Why? Because you're going to get bit, okay? So you perform CPR when an animal is unconscious and their heart's not beating, okay? So how can you tell if an animal's unconscious and they're not breathing? You can look to see that the rib cage rises. You can take a mirror and hold it in front of their nose, and that you'll get condensation on the mirror, all right? Now to see if their heart's beating, the heart is more to the left side of the chest cavity. You want the animal to be lying on their right side. You take the animal's elbow and you bend it back like this, okay? And where the point that it bends back to on the chest is right where the heart is. So you can place your hand over there, see if you can feel the heartbeat. A good place to find a pulse is on the inside of the thigh on a dog or a cat. Go home and try it tonight on your animal so you get practice doing that, okay? If you don't feel a pulse, you don't see the animal is breathing, that is when you want to attempt CPR. Now, one thing is, if you're trying to breathe into the trachea and there's a ball or rock that's obstructing it, are you going to be able to get air into the lungs? You're not. So Oprah Winfrey's dog died because it choked on a ball. And nobody opened up the mouth to see. All right, so the first thing you want to do before you do that, open the mouth. You could pick the dog up by their tongue. It's a very strong muscle. Open it up. If you see vomit, whatever, you got to just scoop it out, okay? If you see something in there, try and grab it and pull it out if you can. You know, if you push it back farther, I can show you the Heimlich technique, but people are so shy about that. Open it up, see if there's something obstructing the airway, pull it out. You have the trachea, which goes to the lungs, and you're not going to save your animal if there's something in there. So before I do that, I'll just show you the Heimlich. If there is something in there, you can do Heimlich on a dog like you can a human. You put your hands like this, and you go upward thrusting like this. 1, 2, very firm like that. And a lot of times it's just gonna pop out. You can tip them upside down. Oh, come on, come on. All right? You know, you're trying to save your animal's life. With a smaller animal, you can do what we use, like in a baby, you use the butt of your hand and you go like this in between the shoulder blades. You're trying to dislodge that. It works, I've done it. Once you've dislodged that, you know you have an open airway, then you go ahead and you do rescue breathing with chest massages. It's roughly about, if the animal's under 90 pounds, it would be 5 chest compressions to 1 breath. 5 chest compressions to 5 to 1, 5 to 1. Over 90, 10 to 1. They've simplified it. It used to be very complicated. You should be doing this in the back seat of the car as you're going to the vet hospital. Because once we get them, we can give them drugs, and you know, if that's feasible. If not, attempt it where you're at. So, when you breathe into the animals, what if I just went ahead and exhaled in this dog's mouth like you do with the human? Where's the air gonna go? It's gonna come right out the nose, guys. So the key is you have to close the mouth and you wanna exhale into the nose, okay? And when you do that, you wanna watch the chest rise. Am I gonna exhale into the lungs the same amount in my big guy here as I am the cat? Do you know I can actually burst this cat's lungs? Yes, you can. So you have to be careful. Watch the chest rise as you're exhaling. See? If I go, and you can hurt the animal. So just common sense, right? 5 breaths to 5 compressions to 1 breath. So now you know how to do the breathing. Close the mouth, exhale into the nose. In a small animal, you can just put your whole mouth over their nose and their mouth, okay? Now, for the chest compressions, it's very similar to humans, all right? I told you, you bend the elbow back. You want your pet on what side? Right side down, because the heart's to the left. All right, and you take your hands like that, like with the humans, and you go down like this, okay? And your compression, remember, you're going over the rib cage, all right? So you do this, 2, 3, 4, 5.
During your training, safety will be reiterated time and time again. To keep everyone safe in daycare, you must be constantly aware of dog interactions. Close supervision will prevent problems from occurring in the daycare setting. You will learn how to read dog language in order to see signals from dogs that may result in the escalation of problematic behavior. By getting to know the dogs, you will be able to identify who needs to be watched more closely. You will be introduced to many techniques in your training for identifying problems and dangerous behaviors in order to prevent unsafe conditions. Guest safety. Dogs should not be allowed to be free in the lobby. Keep guests safe. Some guests may be allergic to dogs, as some dogs are hypoallergenic. You have no idea how a dog will react around its own owner, and it could attack other owners, so make sure dogs are under control at all times. Additionally, dogs running loose in the lobby are at risk for pushing the front door open and running off. Dog packs on stairs. Dogs must be controlled while going up or down stairs. When you're taking a group of dogs up or down stairs, do so slowly, or it will be a stampede. Hold the railings at all times to avoid falling down the stairs. Report hazards. All employees are responsible for reporting safety hazards to management. If you see a hazardous situation that needs to be addressed, do not hesitate to bring it up. Everyone is better off if hazardous conditions are mended prior to any accidents. Slipping risk. Although we require potty training for dogs, accidents may happen while you're not paying attention. A dog may also slop water around after taking a drink, or it may just be a rainy or humid day. Always remember to look down and clean up spills immediately. Additionally, all employees must wear slip-resistant shoes at all times in the building as part of your uniform. Solicitation. Employees may occasionally find that outsiders, who are not customers, may attempt to come inside of our facility and beg for money or other items. Calmly tell them that they must leave, that it's not safe for them to be here, and that we cannot give them anything. If they refuse, call the police and get a manager involved. Working after dark. All employees working after dark should be watched out to their cars by a fellow employee. Social development of dogs. Developing social skills in dogs from a young age is very vital. Whenever there's a puppy in daycare, you should take time to work on desensitizing the dog. Puppies are particularly easy to influence, whether the situation is good or bad. Prevent bad situations, and if anything bad does happen, stay calm and never coddle. When you coddle, you essentially praise fearful behavior. So stay strong, confidently encourage the dog to shake it off, move forward, and get back into the game. Dog ownership. It's natural for humans to treat dogs like humans, and many dog-loving employees do so when they first come to work in daycare. But it's dangerous to fully embrace the idea that dogs should be treated completely like humans. Our philosophy calls for balance. We love our dogs unconditionally, we snuggle with them, and we even let them kiss our face, but we are also realistic about the fact that dogs are animals, descendants of wolves, and although they are amazingly adapted to our way of life, they communicate differently than we do, often non-verbally, and their needs are different than our own as well. Arguably, many pet owners overindulge in pet ownership, freak out when their dogs get hurt or sick, and completely overreact or coddle dogs in unusual ways. Dogs need leadership, hierarchy, and discipline, and as pet owners, we are fully responsible for the behavior of our own animals. Unfortunately, many of our pets' behavioral problems are a direct result of the cues we give them. Believe it or not, dogs enjoy being dogs. They're happiest when they have leadership and order. Of course, dogs benefit greatly from human companionship, as do owners from their dogs. Dogs and humans are better together, the perfect companions. But dogs aren't puppets or toys, and they aren't babies either. They have very specific needs, and that shouldn't be ignored. In order for you to be a good fit in daycare, it's important that you develop your own philosophy on what kind of owner you will be, which is hopefully based on logical reasoning. Dogs provide us with so many benefits. They give us uncomplicated love, and many studies have shown that people who own pets are happier. As an employee at this business, your own dogs should be trained, controlled, and treated with kindness at all times. You will develop a deep understanding of the various effects of the many different kinds of interactions you will have with dogs. You will learn the correct way to communicate with, read signals, and control your dog based on the situation at hand and use positive reinforcement. Remember that communicating with dogs as if they're humans is inadequate at best. As you learn more about the language of dogs throughout your training, you will be able to practice and reinforce proper communication techniques, enforce house rules, and contribute to the outstanding level of company-wide handler consistency that this business promises our customers. With time and training, you will become an exceptionally experienced and knowledgeable representative of this business. Now that you've had a basic introduction to dogs, it's time to learn how to properly handle dogs in daycare.